Jon Moxley just delivered the most vicious, unhinged, and personal warning to Kazuchika Okada at AEW World's End, and what happened has the entire wrestling world talking. This wasn't just a promo, this was a statement of intent that changes everything. Welcome back to Wrestling Region, the #1 destination for all elite wrestling coverage, analysis, and discussion. I'm absolutely fired up to bring you this breakdown because what transpired at AEW World's End was nothing short of explosive. If you're a fan of intense storytelling, psychological warfare, and wrestlers who blur the line between character and reality, then you need to hear every word of this analysis. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell because we're covering every major AEW moment, every storyline development, and bringing you the content that the Wrestling Region family deserves. And if you're already subscribed, drop a comment right now telling us where you're watching from because we love seeing our global wrestling community represent. Now, let's talk about what Jon Moxley did at World's End and why it's absolutely massive for the future of AEW. To truly understand the weight and significance of Moxley's warning to Okada, we need to establish the context of where both of these competitors stand in all elite wrestling right now. Jon Moxley is not just a wrestler, he's a force of nature. Since AEW's inception, Moxley has been the heartbeat of this company. He's a former multiple-time AEW World Champion, he's been in some of the most brutal matches in company history, and he represents a philosophy of wrestling that's raw, unfiltered, and absolutely uncompromising. Moxley doesn't play politics, he doesn't take shortcuts, and he certainly doesn't back down from anyone. Over the past several months, Moxley has been on a mission. He's been vocal about his vision for AEW, about what this company needs to be, and about who deserves to be at the top of the card. He's formed alliances, burned bridges, and made it abundantly clear that he's willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that AEW maintains the edge and intensity that made it special in the first place. Now, let's talk about Kazuchika Okada. The Rainmaker arrived in AEW with perhaps the greatest resume of any international signing in wrestling history. This man has held championships for record-breaking lengths of time, has been the face of one of the most prestigious wrestling companies on the planet, and is widely regarded by fans and peers alike as one of the absolute best to ever step inside the ring. Okada brought instant credibility to AEW. His matches have been exceptional, his presence elevates everyone around him, and he carries himself with the confidence and swagger of someone who has nothing left to prove. The Rainmaker doesn't chase respect, it follows him wherever he goes. The relationship between Moxley and Okada has been complex from the beginning. There's mutual respect for each other's abilities, absolutely. Both men recognize greatness when they see it. But there's also been an underlying tension, a sense that their philosophies about wrestling and about what AEW should be don't quite align. Moxley sees himself as the guardian of AEW's soul, the one who's been there from day one fighting to build something different. Okada represents the establishment, the traditional path to success, the polished international superstar. These contrasting identities were always going to lead to conflict, and at World's End, that conflict reached a boiling point. The Continental Championship has become the focal point of this rivalry. This title represents prestige, international recognition, and the kind of championship that defines careers. Both Moxley and Okada have laid claim to it, and both believe they're the rightful person to carry that championship into the future. Leading into World's End, the anticipation was palpable. Fans knew something significant was going to happen. The question wasn't if these two would collide, but how explosive that collision would be when it finally occurred. AEW World's End was already loaded with incredible matches and storylines, but what Jon Moxley did became the defining moment of the entire event. Let me walk you through exactly what transpired, and why it's so significant. The setup for this warning came organically throughout the show. Okada had competed earlier in the evening, delivering another stellar performance that reminded everyone why he's considered one of the best. The Rainmaker was in top form, looking confident and seemingly in complete control of his position in AEW. But Moxley had other plans. When Moxley's music hit, the atmosphere in the arena immediately shifted. The crowd erupted because they knew that when Jon Moxley shows up unannounced, something memorable is about to happen. He didn't come out with his typical entrance. There was something different about his demeanor, something more intense, more focused, more dangerous. Moxley grabbed a microphone and immediately commanded the attention of every single person in that building and everyone watching around the world. His presence is magnetic, his intensity is unmatched, and when he speaks, people listen. The warning he delivered to Okada was absolutely scathing. Moxley didn't waste time with pleasantries or traditional promo structure. He went straight for the jugular, addressing Okada directly and making it crystal clear what his intentions were. He talked about legacy and what it truly means to be a champion in AEW. Moxley spoke about the difference between being a champion who collects titles and being a champion who defines an entire company. He questioned whether Okada really understood what AEW was about, whether the Rainmaker truly grasped the fighting spirit and uncompromising nature that this company was built on. But it wasn't just what Moxley said, it was how he said it. There was venom in every word, conviction in every sentence. This wasn't scripted corporate wrestling speak, this felt real, this felt personal. Moxley was speaking from a place of genuine belief about what AEW needs and about his role in protecting that vision. He challenged Okada's credentials, not by saying the Rainmaker wasn't talented, but by suggesting that talent alone doesn't make you the right person to represent AEW. Moxley made it clear that this company was built by people willing to sacrifice, willing to bleed, willing to put everything on the line. He questioned whether Okada, for all his success elsewhere, truly understood that mentality. The most brutal part of the warning came when Moxley described what he was going to do to Okada when they finally faced each other. He didn't use hyperbole or wrestling cliches. He was specific, detailed, and painted a picture that was genuinely unsettling. Moxley promised that he would expose Okada, break him down physically and mentally, and prove once and for all that AEW belongs to those who built it, not to those who simply arrived after it was established. The crowd reaction was absolutely electric. Some fans cheered Moxley's intensity and passion. Others were shocked by the personal nature of the attack. But everyone was completely engaged, completely invested in where this was going. Then came the physicality. Moxley didn't just leave after cutting his promo. He made it clear that this warning wasn't just verbal. Whether through direct confrontation or by destroying something symbolic of Okada's presence, Moxley sent a physical message that couldn't be ignored. Security personnel, backstage officials, and other wrestlers eventually had to intervene. But the damage was done. The message was sent. Jon Moxley had drawn a line in the sand, and everyone knew that Okada now had to respond. The final image of this segment, with Moxley standing tall, intensity still burning in his eyes, and the chaos surrounding him, became instantly iconic. This was professional wrestling storytelling at its finest, genuine emotion, high stakes, and two absolute stars on a collision course. Now let's dive deeper into the psychology behind what Moxley did, because this wasn't just random aggression. This was strategic psychological warfare designed to gain every possible advantage before their inevitable confrontation. One of Jon Moxley's greatest strengths has always been his ability to get into his opponent's head. He understands that professional wrestling isn't just about physical ability, it's about mental warfare. By delivering this brutal warning at World's End, Moxley accomplished several strategic objectives. First, he put doubt in Okada's mind. The Rainmaker is accustomed to being respected, even feared. He's used to opponents acknowledging his greatness before they step into the ring with him. But Moxley did the opposite. He questioned Okada's place in AEW, challenged his understanding of what this company represents, and suggested that all of Okada's past accomplishments might not prepare him for what Moxley brings to the table. That kind of psychological attack can be devastating. Even for someone as accomplished as Okada, hearing someone completely dismiss your credentials and question whether you truly belong creates doubt. And doubt, even a small amount, can be the difference between victory and defeat when you're competing at the highest level. Second, Moxley set the narrative on his terms. In any major rivalry, controlling the story is crucial. By being the aggressor, by issuing the warning first, Moxley positioned himself as the hunter rather than the hunted. He's not reacting to Okada, Okada now has to react to him. Moxley also established an intensity level that Okada now has to match or exceed. The Rainmaker is known for his smooth, almost effortless style. His matches are technical masterpieces, beautiful displays of wrestling artistry. But Moxley's warning made it clear that their confrontation won't be about artistry, it'll be about survival. By setting this tone, Moxley pulled Okada out of his comfort zone. If Okada tries to approach this rivalry the way he's approached others in his career, he'll be at a disadvantage. Moxley has forced the Rainmaker to adapt to a style and intensity level that favors the challenger. Think about it from a strategic standpoint. Moxley knows he might not be able to out-wrestle Okada in a pure technical match. The Rainmaker's fundamentals are too good, his experience too vast. But in a war? In a fight where rules are bent and intensity determines the winner? That's Moxley's world, and he just dragged Okada into it. There's also the element of public pressure. By issuing such a brutal and public warning, Moxley put enormous pressure on Okada to respond appropriately. The AEW universe is now watching to see how the Rainmaker handles this. Does he respond with equal intensity? Does he try to take the high road? Does he match Moxley's aggression or try to outsmart him? Whatever Okada's response is, it will be judged against the intensity of Moxley's warning. If Okada's response seems weak or insufficient, it damages his credibility. If he tries to match Moxley's intensity but it feels forced or unnatural, fans will see through it. Moxley has created a no-win situation where Okada has to thread an incredibly difficult needle to maintain his positioning. We also have to consider the broader implications for alliances and team dynamics within AEW. Moxley has aligned himself with specific individuals who share his vision for the company. This warning to Okada isn't just personal, it's ideological. It's about what AEW should be and who should lead it. By framing the conflict this way, Moxley turned this into something bigger than just two wrestlers fighting over a championship or personal beef. This is about the soul of the company, about competing philosophies, about the direction AEW takes moving forward. That raises the stakes exponentially and makes every person associated with either competitor invested in the outcome. Finally, there's the element of unpredictability that Moxley brings. Okada has faced incredible competition throughout his career, but most of it has been within relatively structured environments with clear rules and boundaries.